Florida State brings in more help on the defensive line, and you're going to like these numbers, everybody. The size of the players that Florida State has brought in. They're building the depth back up for this 3-3-5 defense that they want to run under Tony White, amongst others, like pot roasts. And so we're going to tell you about two new weapons for Terrence Knight and Coach Pot Roast. First one is Damonte Diggs, and we're bringing in Michael Langston, senior recruiting analyst, senior portal analyst, to talk about this player who is 6'5", 260 pounds, Michael. He's played at Coastal Carolina. He's played at Youngstown State, and he's appeared in 37 games prior to arriving in Tallahassee. What is Florida State getting in Damonte Diggs, in this 2025 class?
Yeah, relentless motor, very, very long, and causes a lot of problems with his first step of the way he gets pressure on the quarterback, and does a really good job with pressures. I think we saw that even with his not like not starting reps, but you see him with reps of the level of the pressure he gets on the quarterback. I think 5 sacks last year, and just a guy that causes creates a lot of havoc, and has a great motor. And certainly a guy that has no problem getting in the backfield. He knows how to create havoc and get to the quarterback, and get to the second level as far as the pressure in the backfield. So that's the thing that jumps out to me when I watch him. Is he going to be a starter? No, I don't think you'll need him to be a starter. I think you just need somebody that you'll have in the two deep that you feel good about, that this is just going to create havoc in that defense. Because with that defense, you're probably going to be rotating, I would think several guys in and out, and he kind of fits to me that, depth in that place that you want, where he can flash a lot, with his pass rushing skill.
According to Pro Football Focus, he had 3 sacks this year in addition to 13 hurries, 13 pressures. Again, somebody who's very large. You have to think about these numbers that a 3-man front that Florida State wants to get to a little bit differently. So, you don't have you don't need a bunch of 225-pound or 235-pound edge players like James Williams is, who came from Nebraska.
Right.
You're going to need some guys that are going to be big enough to set the edge. So you have one there in Diggs, and then also Jayson Jenkins. This is a player from Tennessee. Florida State has rated Tennessee at the linebacker position, defensive line position, and wide receiver position. And so Jayson Jenkins, Michael, 6'6", 281 pounds, and he's appeared in 20 games in his Tennessee career. What's Florida State getting in this trench monster?
Yeah, I think this was one that I circled that there's not many guys I get kind of giddy about, but I mentioned that in receivers. This is one where it gets your stomach going. Just because he is so electric, the way he gets up blocks. That's the thing I love, is his ability to get up blocks, and the way he the pressures on the quarterback, and in the hands. The hands are very violent. That's what I look for when I watch a lot of Jayson. And I know he didn't get always, and that was the guy, he'd always get the reps that he probably wanted more, but I think that was one part of the reason. Kind of a maybe a Jermaine Johnson thing, where you're playing, you're flashing, you're doing things, but you want to be the guy. And I think at FSU, at school like that, I think he could certainly be that guy. I think a guy that is certainly can be very productive, and one that the Vols did not want to lose. This wasn't one where, hey, you want to go, that's okay, we'll figure it out. I mean, this is one that they felt like he could be, a good one for them. So I think FSU's getting a very popular, very, very talented guy, but one that I also think is going to be pretty productive.
So they're loaded up now on the defensive line, Michael. I'll ask you in a minute if they're done, but James Williams comes in. Darrell Jackson, of course, returns. That feels like a get out of the portal, because everybody had just kind of figured that because he announced he was going to the NFL draft, he wasn't going to be circling back to Tallahassee. So you have those two guys. You've got a player like Daniel Lyons for the interior, who's he can line up and play edge, I suppose, in the 3-3-5 setting too, because he's awfully quick. KJ Samson, Kevin Wynn, the signee, who was a great retaining job by Florida State down the stretch. If there's a true freshman who could rotate it in for Florida State, it's that particular player. These two young men, just to tell me about this defensive line class as you see it, and the defensive line position. Is Florida State done, or could they possibly be adding more guys for the front?
Yeah, it's really good. Really, really strong, group. And I think it starts to me with the return of Darrell Jackson. This really gave them a bolt of lightning, of juice, of really get things going. Then they started adding the pieces, James Williams and all the guys that you covered. I think certainly, fit that narrative. And I think we sometimes just forget like the amount of talent that they already still have on the roster, even though they're young. I think they're going to offer a lot. I think a lot of KJ Samson. I'm very high on Daniel Lyons. I think he was one of the more productive players they had on the defensive line. Last year when he was in the game, good stuff happened. Certainly these guys can help them a lot. I think it positions them really well where you don't feel pressured enough with based on what they have already. That's why I was telling Tom in one of our other videos, like, man, they almost got like this whole entire thing done like in this one cycle. So I think they've kind of left some openings of what they can do, both from recruiting guys in the high school, market of February and January to what they can do in the spring. When they get to that spring window, they can certainly address that. But I think overall, I think this defensive line group is very impressive. You wondered how they were going to position this together and piece this together, and if they were going to get guys that are just all productive or semi-productive. I think overall productive is the word that I would come up with. Where at the very least, these guys have production when it comes to when they've had their name called. And I like the different skill sets that they have. They're not all the same. They're different. Some are lengthy, some are more physical, some are lean on the physicality. Some of them are just. I think the one thing that all of them have in common is the pressures, the amount of pressures they put on the backfield, and I think that's kind of what Tony White and Terrence Knighton were looking for when they decided to try to piece this together.
So Terrence Knighton is already a lovable figure.
Yes.
With a nickname like Pot Roast, you have a guy on the team named Squirrel now, and you got a guy named Pot Roast. Couldn't be more different in terms of size and personality type. Just your impact of Terrence Knighton so far. I know it's Tony White's show. It's his defense. But this is the position group we're talking about, defensive line. Pot Roast impact on the trail. We know he loves social media, Michael, and he gives people bat signals when he puts out animations letting you know that they got a yes from somebody here or there. It seems like he loves this part of the coaching. Not everybody does anymore, but it seems like he does.
He does, and you can tell he gets into the social media part. Sometimes his bat signals are a little hard to read. Sometimes you think it's something and it's not. I think yesterday was kind of clear that there was something good, coming about. But I think overall, I mean, we've done a really good job of I think we heard that when several of these defensive linemen visited early in the week, and they talked about just being around, Coach Knighton and how the connection is, it's very personal, it's very real. He knows what he wants, he knows what he's looking for in a defensive lineman, and I always say coaching. The best part of coaching, the most productive guys aren't the ones that just teach it well. It's the ones that can reciprocate it to the coach and show it on the field and apply it. I think Terrence gives off that feeling, the way kids talk about him. So hopefully it's the same result when it comes to coaching and in the spring practice starts and heck, even when they get out there with high school recruiting. Certainly I'm working on a 2026 hot board. So hopefully we see a lot of that in the high school market, because I think that's the next step that we want to see. But I think overall from the portal, Tom, he's done a really good job. I think you can sense it. You can feel it. You don't land these recruitments unless your position coach knows what he's doing and certainly has a connection to the prospect.
If you want to read that hot board and other content that's available at warchant.com, make sure to sign up today. It's called the 150 special because it's $1 for 7 days of access to try out everything we have at warchant.com. Then half off an annual membership. It's going on right now at warchant.com. Head over there. If you haven't signed up, you'll see a big green button in the top right corner of the website, and it says join. Hit that. You choose the annual option, and you will see this awesome special before you. We're going to need a roster when we get out to spring camp with all these new names and numbers.
Yeah, hand me the paper.
Oh, my goodness. And then we're going to have to get flashcards to test ourselves on all these players, new coaches, new players.
Numbers.
Yep, a lot of new coming to Florida State in short order here. But they're not done yet building what they're building. So stay tuned to Warchant TV. Hit the like button for this video and subscribe to the channel so we can appear on your home screen every time Florida State lands themselves a new signee. Could be a bunch more by Monday or Tuesday. Who the heck knows? But, Michael, we appreciate your time documenting all of that for us as always.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll catch you next time right here on Warchant TV.